France 1814, and now Napoleon is on the defensive. Napoleon starts there with a good stack of units, and some of those units are really of excellent quality, but there aren't many overall, and this is pretty much all he has. There's only one more unit on the map, and that's it. And the enemies, on the contrary, have some stacks of units that are ready to advance. This stack here in particular is quite scary. This is a defensive scenario because you have to prevent the enemies from entering the Paris area. If an enemy force enters in Paris, then you lose the game. Well, you don't lose it, the game is over. And then depending on how long it took the enemies to enter Paris, then you will determine your level of victory. You will receive some reinforcements, but so will the enemies, so there's a little bit of a catch-22 there. Now, the problem is that there is a rule that says that you cannot repurchase French units once they've been destroyed. Scenarios that have the rule are always very challenging, and that a problem comes from the reinforcement, the resupply table. In fact, you will have enemy reinforcements entering from there and from here. And from here, well, you will have to roll, but trust me, it will happen pretty often that you will have enemies pouring from all of these directions. And this area here is particularly scary because unless you have somebody here to protect that area, you may have an enemy unit entering here, then receiving from the order table the order of advancing to areas towards Paris. Boom, boom. You have lost the game the turn after the unit entered the board. So, to tell you what the problems and the challenges in this scenario are, I'm going to tell about the two games that I played. The first game I lost in turn 2. I thought, well, I'm going to spread maybe my units a little bit around here in small groups and see if I can lure the enemies into splitting in smaller groups too, and then I can regroup and catch them one by one. Didn't work. The enemies just advance in a monster stack and basically walk through my units, and we're in Paris at the end, by the end of turn 2. Not good. So I thought, okay, second game, I launched a powerful attack against those units there, so let's cripple the enemies from the start. And it worked, meaning that I managed to eliminate that entire stack, everybody in there. It couldn't have gone better. I was very happy, but then I realized that now my forces were too concentrated there, and so the enemies that were starting pouring in from other areas of the map would have probably reached Paris way before I could do anything about it. So it is a very challenging scenario in which you have to find the balance between dispersing your units on the map and managing to keep some groups that can still be effective in combat, and at the same time remember every time that you lose a unit is a tragic thing because you cannot repurchase them. What I like about this scenario too is that the challenges it presents are very different from anything else that I've seen in the game so far, and I've played maybe 10 scenarios so far. I have learned a trick or two, and yet when I start a new scenario I still have to think outside of the box and find new strategies, because that there is a huge variety from scenario to scenario. You really have to adjust your strategy each time. That to me is not just a good thing in a game, is a phenomenally good thing in a game.